Hi everyone, it's Dr. G. Welcome back to the Sociology Experience. And in this video, I want to talk about deviance, definitions and theories. Let's start with a definition of deviance. Sociologists define deviance as the recognized violation of cultural norms. And please keep in mind that norms are rules or expectations of behavior. Let's look at some additional terms. Crime is the violation of a society's formally enacted criminal law. Social control is defined as attempts by society to regulate people's thoughts and behaviors. And finally, the criminal justice system is the organizations such as the police, courts, and prison officials that respond to alleged violations of the law. Deviance is seen as threatening because it undermines the predictability and foundation of social life. Now, when we think about deviance, we need to keep in mind that deviance is relative to person, place, and time. What does that mean? That means that what is deviant to some people may not be deviant to other people. For example, to some people, smoking marijuana is wrong, but to others, it is not. Let's compare deviant and criminal behavior. And what you're looking at on your screen are three deviant types and conforming behavior by definition. And the way to understand this is by looking across the top, you will see that an actor or an individual has two choices. The person can either comply with legal code or not break the law, or the person or individual can violate the legal law or the legal code for that column. Along the side, an individual or actor also has two choices. He or she can either comply with group norms, and that would be that row across, or the person can violate group norms, that row across. Group, who can that be? Well, it can be anyone. It could be your family, it could be your friends, it could be people that you work with, it can even be society at large. So let's take a look at the four different types that come up. And the first one is conforming behavior. And how do we define conforming behavior? When a person is not breaking the law and they are complying with group norms. And I would argue that that's what most of us do most of the time. We conform. All right, deviant criminal behavior. How is criminal behavior defined? That is when an actor breaks the law. They violate the law, but they are complying with group norms. An example of criminal behavior would be underage drinking. Let's move to deviant behavior. Deviant behavior is when a person is not breaking the law, but they are violating some type of group norms. For example, your family may be very opposed to you getting tattoos. If you get tattoos, it is not against the law, but it may violate your family's norms. And finally, deviant and criminal behavior. This is when a person is breaking the law and they are going against what some group says is appropriate, let's say society. So we could put murder, rape, and child molestation down in the deviant criminal behavior box. All right, let's spend a few minutes talking about some theories of deviance, and we will look at biology, followed by psychology, followed by sociology. And if you remember from a previous video, I encourage you to take a multi-dimensional approach to understanding human beings. It would be very easy to only look at sociological theories. However, theories in biology and psychology will also offer us some very interesting insight into why human beings are deviant. So let's start with biology. Biology will ask, is there a link between biology and crime? Are there genetic predispositions, defective genes, and/or in males an extra Y in their chromosome makeup? When it comes to the extra Y in males' chromosome makeup, it is shown through research that about 1 in 1,000 males have the XYY chromosome makeup, whereas the typical chromosome makeup for males is XY. By the way, for females, it's XX. The interesting part of the study shows that males with the XYY chromosome makeup are overrepresented in jails and prisons. The psychology of deviance. In psychology, the focus will be on abnormalities in individual personalities, leading to things like antisocial, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic personality disorders. More information about these disorders can be seen in the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Now, when we look at the biological and the psychological theories of deviance, they both have one thing in common, and that is that they view deviance as a trait of individuals. In other words, within individuals. We're going to turn our attention to sociological theories of deviance, which focus outside of the individual. We will talk about strain theory, labeling theory, and differential association theory. Let's start with Robert Merton's strain theory. And Robert Merton posits that society tries to motivate everyone to strive for success. It does this by arousing discontentment, making people feel dissatisfied with what they have so that they will try to better themselves. This theory analyzes what happens when people are socialized into desiring cultural goals, but are denied access to the institutionalized means. Let's define those two terms. Cultural goals refers to the legitimate objectives held out to members of society, like wealth. Institutionalized means refers to approved ways of reaching cultural goals. So when we see the picture in the top left-hand corner of your screen, there are 5 potentials that come up. Across the top, you see conventional means that we've already defined. Along the side, you see cultural goals that we have defined. And so we can either accept or reject both the conventional means and the cultural goals. When we, in the first box here, when we accept conventional means and cultural goals, we have conformity. And that's what most of us do most of the time, using socially acceptable, legitimate means to strive to attain cultural goals, like hard work. However, let's say that we decide to reject conventional means while accepting cultural goals. This is called innovation. This is using unconventional means like street crime to achieve a culturally approved goals like wealth. Hence, they accept the goals of society but use illegitimate means to achieve them. So examples will be embezzlers, robbers, and con artists. All right, if we move down to ritualism, here we are accepting conventional means but rejecting cultural goals. Ritualism is people believe that they cannot achieve the cultural goal of becoming, let's say, rich. Therefore, they obsessively stick to the rules, the conventional means, in order to at least feel respectable. Now, if we go to retreatism, we reject the conventional means, we reject the cultural goals. Retreatism is rejecting both cultural goals and means so that one, in effect, drops out. Okay? For example, those that drop out of the pursuit of success by ways of drugs and or alcohol. And finally, down here in the bottom, we have rebellion. Rebellion is people that believe that the society that they live in is corrupt. They, like the retreatists, reject both society's goals and institutionalized means to get them, and they go one step further by forming a counterculture and advocating alternatives to the existing social order. So an example would be having a revolution. All right, moving on to the next theory, and that's labeling theory. Labeling theory stems from the idea that deviance and conformity result not so much from what people do as from how others respond to those actions. Labeling theory is a subtheory of symbolic interactionism. As such, it will stress the relativity of deviance based on how and why people define certain behaviors as deviant. A behavior is deviant only if someone labels it as deviant. Differential association theory, developed by sociologist Edwin Sutherland. He believed that people learn deviance. Differential association indicates that learning to deviate or to conform to society's norms is influenced most by the people with whom we associate. Thank you for joining me on this journey into deviance, and I hope to see you back soon. Bye-bye.